everybody. Welcome back to another episode of God Built This podcast. I'm your host, Maxine, and we're on episode 65. Okay, so we do have to start off on a somber note. I know the last episode, it was pretty somber, but I do have to pay my respects to Kobe Bryant and his daughter, Gianna, and everyone who was involved in that helicopter crash. That was traumatic, to say the least, shocking and devastating. I'm truly at a loss for words when it comes to stuff like this. Grief doesn't, I don't know, it's hard to grieve, right? And it's hard to justify your grief when it comes to a celebrity, when it comes to someone who you don't have a close relationship with, right? But I felt it. I felt the impact of his death because I knew and I felt the impact of who Kobe Bryant was to me, to my peers, to my surroundings. I remember being younger and in middle school, my peers, including myself, and mind you, I'm not a basketball head. Like, I know a little bit, but I'm not the type of girl. I'm not a basketball fan to the point where I know each player's stats. I know their fucking highlights. I really don't give a fuck. I'm looking to see who's the cutie in the green. Okay, that's who I'm here to see. And that's how it's always been for me. But with Kobe Bryant, it's just, I recognize how strong of an impact he has on the Black community, on basketball, on anyone who's a fan of sports. He is iconic, and he remains to be that, regardless of his mortality. It's devastating to just recognize and really accept the fact that he's passed, and it's such a tragedy what happened. And just the abruptness of it all, you know, like, I can't imagine how his wife, Vanessa Bryant, and his remaining children are dealing with this at this moment and moving forward. Like, what does it even mean to move forward? I know with death, we also have to recognize there are deaths often. Like, people die, right? We are not promised tomorrow. We're not promised forever. But we are promised death. And that is always a harsh reality when we are stumped with someone who we care for, whether it's directly or indirectly, when we're stumped with the fact that, wow, this is real. Like, death is real. There's no running away from it. It's not limiting to anyone. It's always hurtful. It's always painful whenever it happens to someone, and especially when it happens to someone who you have admired. So definitely my heart goes out to everyone who is dealing with it, whether it's directly or indirectly. But what was I saying? I was saying how, I remember being younger and like middle school, me and my peers, every time we'll roll up a paper ball, we'll throw it and dunk it into the trash can, and we'll always say Kobe, like, always. And mind you, I didn't even know why that was a reference until I did my research. But at that time, I was just following my peers and doing the same thing that they were doing, you know? But that's how much of an impact he had on our childhood. Like, I just imagine your hero suddenly being defeated, quote unquote, suddenly no longer here. And that's what it feels like to so many people, especially Black men. And I know there are many people, whether Black, white, Hispanic, whomever, but I can only definitely recognize it in Black men. How many Black men has just idolized him, you know? So my heart goes out, and it's rough with death, because oftentimes people will always say, you know, this is a time to realize and remind yourself that, you know, life isn't promised, tomorrow isn't promised, and, you know, you should love and tell the people who you love them. Don't just say it, hug them, show it in your actions, call them right now. And I totally agree with that. But here's the thing. Oftentimes people like to use an excuse of someone's death, of some grief, right? And they use that to reach out to someone who they let go of years prior or months prior, right? There are people in your life who still need to remain out of your life. Like, I don't care what happened, like, it doesn't mean I wish you ill. It doesn't mean I, wish you anything misfortune. No, it just simply means I still want that door closed. You know what I mean? Like, and I just don't like when people try to use grief, the mourn and the loss of someone as an excuse or has some type of validity to open that door again, especially to someone who you have consciously made the choice to let go, who you have consciously made the choice to say, you know what, this relationship, what we had, our friendship, whatever it was toxic, and I finally let you go. And then boom, something tragic happens, and now somehow we're right back to where it was. And there's a name for that. It's called trauma bond. You don't want to hold on to relationships based off of trauma. That is toxic. That is not helpful. It only kind of perpetuates feelings of loss, of dependency, codependency, and you don't want to build a relationship off of trauma. Like, I want to build a relationship off of what we have in common that's positive. Yeah, we may have some flaws that's in common, but what do you offer to my life that is positive, rather than, oh, we both complain about the same thing, we got to be best friends now. You know how you're friends with some people because, like, for example, you're at work and you and your coworkers are bonding over the fact how much you hate the job. But now that one of you is no longer working at the job, that relationship suddenly has no substance, right? Because we don't have that in common anymore. We don't work at the same place anymore. We don't talk about the boss anymore. I don't have to be a part of this relationship anymore, because that bond is now gone, and it wasn't really built off of substance. It was just built off of this trauma and this commonality that we shared about this issue that we didn't like, So I just want others to look at it as, don't allow anything to make you question whether or not you should continue to leave the door closed to whomever. That door was closed for a reason, and leave it closed. Yes, of course, you could give your condolences and say, I'm sorry for your loss, or, hey, I heard this news. I'm thinking about you. I hope you're well, But sometimes even that could open a little bit of that door, and next thing you know, you're fucking again. I'm done fucking you. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to move on and fuck someone new. But now that we have this common trauma, I just think we have to be mindful of the slippery slope that is when people reach out and do the whole, I hope all is well, I heard the news. Nah. You have your system in place, right? There are people who do have their support system. They're not relying on you to be that. Or they need to, at some point, create a support system of their own. So don't feel like you have the responsibility or this guilt trip to abide by and now make the decision that you had to let someone go, reverse that decision, and now, boom, let's open. Like, I just think we need to continue the boundaries that we set in place despite whatever events occur, no matter how traumatic and tragic. And I'm not saying be heartless, right? And I just want us to be honest with ourselves and recognize, if I send this text, will it bring me back to where it was, right? Am I still weakened by this person? Am I at a lonely place in my life, and if he texts me right now and I want to give a consoling shoulder, we're fighting. And I don't want to do that. So anyway, I say all this to say, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant, and all of the families who were involved in and who passed away in that helicopter crash. My heart goes out to y'all. And in the same breath, I want us all to continue to set clear boundaries when it comes to people in our life who we have decided to let go because we realize they do not serve us, right? They do not serve us positively. And to make sure that no matter what happens, that boundary is still clear. Don't let nobody come up in your DMs or in your fucking iMessage thread talking about, I heard the news, I hope you're well, let me know if you need any. No, let your mom know what you need. No. We're just gonna go ahead and move forward to another topic because I need to just kind of laugh. I need to laugh. I need to get funny and silly because the last episode was heavy. We're starting off this episode heavy, and now we're transitioning to that fuck shit that I usually do. Okay, can we talk about these dyke bitches? Is dyke a slur? Is it one of those words that's a slur? If it is, let me know. I probably won't stop using it. So it's good to know, right? Because I heard the midget word is no longer an appropriate word to use. Instead of calling them that, you call them little people, right? Even me saying them, I feel like that's offensive. But yeah, I heard the word midget rhymes with fidget is a slur, according to an episode that I saw on Big Brother. Y'all know I love that show, but I think it was last season, it was 2 seasons ago, and one of the contestants was a little person, and the other contestant asked, hey, I think she just automatically said the word that rhymes with fidget, and he immediately got offended and schooled her. He was like, this is an offensive word. It's just as offensive as the N-word, nigga. And it became this whole thing in the episode. Anyway, these dyke bitches, back to what I was saying. I know there's this stereotype that butch lesbian women are always hitting on or trying to lure straight women. I know that's a stereotype and it's probably homophobic, right? But bitch, it's real, okay? And I could attest. And it's been a thing that I've realized I'm dealing with here in Texas. Like, maybe it's a southern thing, but I have this one dyke bitch who just won't leave me the fuck alone, right? And I had to make that known to the point where I had to get someone else involved, all right? And I'm not getting into specifics because I'm not. But my point is, I just think it's very uncomfortable when people, no matter what gender, what sexuality preference you have, when you are trying to force, in some form or fashion, when you're trying to force someone to like you, right? You're doing too much. In particular, in my case, I have this dyke bitch who, she is always extra, always on me, to the point where it's singling me out amongst the crowd. So like, she'll say, good morning, Miss Marcy, how you doing, Miss Marcy? Like, super extra, to the point where she's looking at me in a certain way, she's googling her eyes, she's smirking, and it's not in my head. Let's just start there, because I think oftentimes we like to dismiss people's experiences with other people, and this shit is not my head. That bitch likes me. I mean, okay. I get it. But she does. And so when I would give her, and like, here's the thing with me, I'm nice, I'm approachable, but to the point where if I feel like you're annoying me, my energy is gonna be off. I'm going to be like, all right, leave me the fuck alone. Like that's how I am. So the smile that you usually see will suddenly cease now that you are in my space, okay? So she's continuously kind of poking the bear. That's how I see it. She's always asking me questions, always pointing me out, always saying good morning, always just being extra, okay? Always being fucking extra. So there was one instance where she said something like, we're gonna have a friendship. I'm gonna force one, whether you like it or not. And I said, no, you're not. Like, no, I'm not interested in a friendship, whether forced or not. No. And mind you, she's saying this in a smile, like she's trying to be jokey, and I'm giving her that same energy. I'm like I'm trying to not be rude. So I'm smiling in return, but I'm clear as day what I'm saying. But I think oftentimes, because if you're giving off a message with a smile, the other person's going to receive it as, oh, she really, like, no means yes type of thing. No means yes. She really doesn't want me to fuck her. That's what I feel like she's thinking, right? So it was to the point where I tried to pull her to the side. Not literally. This bitch is big. But I was like, look, we need to have a conversation. Like, you're doing too much. And she goes on to tell me about myself. Like, first of all, I don't even fucking know you. And I don't want to get into detail. Like, I don't want to keep on talking about this. But my point is that stereotype of dykes trying to lure straight women is fucking true. Let's just stop there. That's it. That's my reality, and this is my experience. And I could say from my experience, that is true. And I'm gonna need this bitch to hop off. Like, and it makes me uncomfortable because, one, I'm not interested, right? And it's not like, how people say, well, not every maybe sexual advance is a harassment. Not every form of sexual advance is coercion in some way. I get that, because if I was interested, right? Or if I was like, curious into her, or if it was a man who I was attracted to, let's say that, because I've had men who would hit on me, whether at the workplace or not, and I would not be interested, but primarily because I was not attracted to that person, right? It's not because of anything else. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say, don't ever date your colleagues, your coworkers, because that shit is not realistic. You spend 8 hours, maybe 9 hours a day with these motherfuckers, 5 days a week. Of course we're gonna fuck. Like, this is a date. Are we dating or nah? I know there's a ring on that finger, but you see me more than you see your wife. What's up? I'm kidding. But seriously, like, I get it. Like, there's hookups that happen at the workplace, and that's a common thing. Let's not act like it's not real. And there's marriages, strong, romantic, intimate, productive relationships that develop from the workplace, and that's beautiful. So I'm not gonna say, oh, I'm not interested because she's my colleague. No, I would rather not have that experience again with a colleague, because it's just a little messy, especially when things, kind of separate. But because primarily I'm not interested in her, there's this increased level of discomfort that I'm experiencing because she won't leave me the fuck alone. Anyways, being handled, and that's that on that. But I just think we should stop minimalizing just the experiences that some straight girls go through when it comes to fucking, gay, butch, lesbian women who's interested. And I just think it's also first of all, who do you think you are? That's how I see it as. Like, who do you think you are that you think you could go ahead and lure me? Like, you must really think high of yourself. Like, you're not cute. You're not cute. I'm not interested and I want you to stop. And this is just, it is what it is. And it's not even just a her thing. There was this male coworker from a previous job who I was not attracted to. It. Like, you couldn't pay me to fuck him. Maybe you could have. How much we talking? Cause a bitch just might sacrifice. Shit, something might be right. But you couldn't pay me to fuck him. You could not. There would be absolutely no way that could have happened. Cause everything about him grotesque me. His build, his mannerisms, his stance, just he had a scent to him that just made me scratch the nape of my neck. Nigga was just not, I was not interested, and he would try his darndest. He was the one I talked about on a previous episode of when he put his hand on my shoulders, gesturing that he was going to give me a massage. Like, it was to the point where #me too, nigga. You need to get the fuck. That's what the fucking movement should be called. #me too, nigga. And then you need to get the fuck. Okay? But he was like a little extra. And I was so not into it. I had to talk to him about it and then he stopped. But here's the thing. If it was with another coworker who I found attractive, bitch, let's go to the storage room. Like, I think sexual harassment is interesting because is it still sexual harassment if you're into the guy? No, obviously, right? If you are consenting to it, but it wouldn't be, that's just how it is. Like, when you're walking down the street and there are catcallings, happening, men, construction workers, or whomever is whistling at you or trying to be like, hey, ma, yeah, you looking good, blah, blah, blah. If you got a hey, ma, you looking good from a fine-ass nigga, like, hey, I'm going to stop in my tracks, right? But if I got a hey, ma, buck tooth, missing foot ass nigga, leave, security, police, please leave me alone. Yes, this black man here, he's bothering me. That's what it would have been. Like, that's what I would have done, So that it's not sexual harassment unless you're, not attracted to him. No, unless you are attracted to him or her. So that's the case with her. Leave me the fuck alone. Please don't look at me. Don't see me. Like, it's to the point where when someone who you're not interested in, like in the slightest, when they even see you, it's like, oh, fuck. Like, why'd you have to see me? And then I'm looking at my outfits like, damn, maybe I should never wore this orange dress, right? I'm looking like a highlighter for this nigga, or this bitch. Man, I should have never wore my hair like this. It gets his or her attention. Like, just don't see me. Don't see me. Don't see me. Please don't see me. Shit, I'm not interested. Please just leave me alone. Leave me alone. Let's talk about Tyler Perry. Okay. I don't know where to begin, but we're going to begin and we're going to go in. Tyler. And it's so interesting to me because Tyler Perry has been getting just the rundown for a few years now, and I haven't really paid attention to it because for a while I've been such a huge fan of his and his movies, and his movies felt like quality to me. Maybe if I look back on the movies, I would be turned off. Like, maybe there will be something that I would realize and be turned off about, and I could name a few right now, but let's just go in order. So we all know Tyler Perry as Medea, right? He started off as this fictional character who's this grandma, mama, type big mama type of character in plays. And I remember being younger, me and my sister, we would always get the plays that he would make. And we was just cry laughing. Like, it was so funny. It was deep. And because we were raised in the church, it was so real to our reality that it just felt right. It just felt right. And we were connected to him and his plays and all that he produced. So he already had a fan in me from a young age, So when he developed his plays and progressed into movies, TV shows, I never really felt his TV shows. I thought they were kind of cheap looking. But his movies, at least his earlier movies, I felt that they were dope. Like, I loved Why Did I Get Married? I still love that movie. First and two. I love The Family That Prays. I love Daddy's Little Girls. Like, there's been so many good movies of his from the beginning of his movie making career that to see the regression of his movies now it just does something to my spirit. Like, I'm just sitting back and thinking to myself, has his movies always been poor quality and I just wasn't able to see it until now? Like, is there something different with my scope of receiving it now that I'm looking at it from a different lens? Because, baby, A Fall from Grace, nigga, what the fuck did I just watch? Like, I have so many issues with that movie that I don't even know what the fuck he did. Like, what was it? There's so many questions that I feel like, to the point where I've watched so many reaction videos to A Fall from Grace that I feel like, did Tyler Perry plan this? Like, he can't possibly be this lazy and this careless about his productions that he missed so many edit points, so many marks in this movie. He couldn't possibly have done this and submitted this consciously. Like, I can't believe that. I feel like there has to be a ploy here. Maybe he did this to get people talking about him. Maybe he is, playing us. But I still think he's ultimately playing himself. I mean, at the end of the day, he's still a rich man. He still has his property. And that's still a beautiful and phenomenal feat that he accomplished. So he's still winning technically. But to be respected as a filmmaker, I just can't believe that he would produce such a poor project. And he would go around and be so boastful about the fact that he's the only writer for his projects. He's written 5, all of his shows and all the recent ones especially. And he sits there and he stands there with so much pride of his work. But when I watch A Fall from Grace, I just cannot believe the carelessness and just the poor quality of it all. Like, this has got to be a joke. There's literally nobody on his team. There just absolutely could not be anybody on his team who would okay this. Like, you had this huge ass acre field sets where are your employees? Where are the people editing and freaking producing and calling the shots along with you, right? Yes, you may be the one to sign it off, but where's everyone else to do all of the grunt work? Are you doing the grunt work too? And I think it comes to a point where, yes, you could be so connected to your work that you feel like every work is your baby, and I get that. But if you're not strict about every piece of your project, if you're not seeking for eyes other than your own, because we're all, we don't see things the way other people, like, I don't see things the way another person may see things, right? We may have similarities, but you may pick up things better than I do. That's why it's so important to have a team, to have someone who you could call on and ask, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, can you review this for me? Hey, what's your take? And watching this fucking movie, this nigga has no team, And he goes on to boast about how he created this film in 5 days. And he really should have just kept that to himself, because everything makes sense now. Now that I know you created this in 5 days, it makes sense that there was a scene of the character Grace receiving a quote unquote text message. But when you look at the phone, and mind you, there's a whole close up. It's not like I'm nitpicking and I'm like, I'm taking a screenshot or I'm just taking a picture and I'm able to zoom in. No. The scene is clear as day, and the focus is so clear that you could see this character's Grace. She's looking at her phone, acting like she just received a text message. And nigga, it was a picture of a text message. Like, you could see at the top of the image, right at the top of her phone, photo of, or one of, which means like the text message. Like, what is this? What? Who signed off? What? Who said this was okay? You having all this money and you're not caring much about your work. Like, wouldn't you want to be respected as a filmmaker? Like, wow, you produce such powerful and profound pieces of art. No, I don't feel that. I feel like you could care less. I feel like you're playing us, your audience, as a joke, right? The quality that I thought I saw initially in his movie making career, I just don't see that now. Think about the movie Acrimony. I never saw it because I just wasn't really interested in the plot. It felt too old-timey to me. Like, there is this narrative of this angry black woman, of this, I can't find a man at this age, so I'm just going to be bitter and croak. My husband left me with his secretary yet again. How many husbands are there leaving you for their secretary? Like, is this still happening? This is like 96. Like, when I think about that Mary J. Blige song. I'm not gonna cry. For the Waiting to Exhale soundtrack. That shit doesn't happen in real life. Not in 2020. Nobody's leaving you for their secretary. They're leaving you for their fucking Instagram follower. They're leaving you for, their fucking student. Shit, you have many professors out here fucking their students. They're leaving you for them, not their secretary, who's maybe 6, 7, 8 years younger, right? If you still want to be in that stereotypical box. But what I'm saying is that story has been written over and over again. Can you leave me for someone else? Leave me for your fucking Instagram follower, for that thought that I see you keep on liking her pictures for. Leave me for her. Don't leave me for your secretary. Ain't no secretaries in 2020 anymore. What the fuck is a secretary? Fucking Grace's husband left her for his secretary. She didn't take his money. She took everything. She just left with her last name. Who is doing that in 2020? I'm taking you for your money, your mom's money, your brother's money. Your whole family's going fucking down if you leaving me for anybody else. Never mind a secretary. That's not even real. Like, this is not real, Like, can we stop? Tyler. Somebody call Tyler Perry, right? Call Tyler. Because at this point, you're pissing me off. You're undermining my intelligence. When I tell y'all, when I saw that scene of a picture of a text message, I'm sitting there like, wait. Because before I watched the movie, I was already seeing tweets of this. And I'm like, nah, people are playing. People are playing. People really had time in their hands to add this pic art in the fucking movie. People are playing. This can't be it. So I'm like, let me just watch the movie because I'm curious. I want to see what people are talking about. I watched the movie and that scene gets to the screen, and I'm just sitting there like, wait, hold the fuck up. The next scene came on like probably a minute after, or like 45 seconds after, and I had to go back like, wait, is this what I thought I saw? Like, is this what I think it is? A picture of a text message? You've got to be kidding me. So I'm just like, you're disrespecting me. Tyler Perry is disrespecting me, Maxine. Who does that? There's so many questions. I have. So this other question. So you have Grace. She finally, and mind you, Grace is a woman of a particular age. She's not old, but this bitch is in her, maybe, let's say 50s. She's in her 50s. And, she's given her all in her marriage. And her husband still leaves her for his secretary. Womp womp. Got it. She's feeling depleted. She's an established woman. And she comes across a young man. Mind you, bitch, tell me where that's true. I mean, maybe now in 2020, because there are, different relationships now. There's older with younger. There's younger, whether it's man, older man with a younger woman, or vice versa. But I still don't see that as much of a reality. Maybe just not in my own reality. I don't see that surrounding me. But that could be true. So anyway, she's infatuated and she's lured by this younger man, this attractive man with a horrible wig. And he's a fine ass motherfucker. I remember him from The Game. If y'all remember that show, classic until BET fucked it up. But she is lured by him. He eventually turns out to be a fuck nigga. But yet she already married him after 3 months or 6 months, I think. And he immediately switches. It's like Jekyll Hyde. Like, hold up. Where was this sinister ass persona of yours from the beginning? I don't buy that either. I think people show you who they are from the jump, right? And it may not be on the first date, but it'll be on the third date, right? I don't know if you're a manipulator. I don't know if you're selfish. Like, you'll show in your different mannerisms. You'll show in your controlling ways. Like, I just can't believe that it took up until she gets married to this guy, and maybe a week later from their marriage and marital bliss, he turns out to be this avid drinker, this smoker. He's sneaking out from the bed and calling girls on the phone. And it's like, where was this? That's not real either. I just cannot believe you date a man. And mind you, she held out from this guy, meaning she didn't have sex with him. She was like, I'm just going to hold out and, I think we should wait. But she rushes into this marriage, right? But this whole time, if you truly are waiting until you have sex with this person who you're dating, then you are very keen to his characteristics. There is nothing that will sweep you for surprise. You will be very aware of, oh, I could tell you're a little controlling, or I could tell you're a little jealous. There should be nothing clouding your judgment because you're not fucking him, right? Right? And we know sex clouds our judgment. Sex gives us excuses to deal with this toxic ass nigga when no, the dick wasn't bomb, right? Because you wouldn't have experienced it had you held out. So all that to say, she marries this guy. He turns out to be Jekyll Hyde. He takes her for her money, and she just has enough. He cheats on her, and at this point, she recognizes that he stole her money, and she lost her job. Her reputable employment is now tarnished, and she's just drained. She's depleted. And she's depleted to the point where she grabs this random bat, because every black woman has a bat in her fucking dining room. Where are you playing baseball, Grace? Grace! Okay, all right. Let me continue. So she grabs her bat and she goes ham on this nigga's head. Okay, when I tell you she smashed the smithereens out of this nigga, like his brains were just splattered, just gone, just nigga is dead. You're dead. You're clearly dead. And this scene happened so abruptly that I thought it was a dream. I thought she was in a frantic state in her head, that she dreamt this. And this is a scene of her showing us her dream, of her showing us what she would love to do, you know, because she's so angry at him and she feels so defenseless and she feels defeated. This is her dream. But to see this 55-year-old woman beat the living shit to the point of demise, it doesn't make sense. Like, you can't tell me a 55-year-old woman is beating the shit out of this 25-year-old man and to the point where he's dead, seemingly. Like, that doesn't make sense. It's not real, Tyler. No one's it's I just where is this? Where is this happening? You know? And you would think at this point, like, she has so much strength that she's easily pounding him. He doesn't have any strength suddenly to get up and grab the bat around from, you know, if you get hit like maybe the first or second time with the bat, maybe you try to fight for your life. She's hitting him so repeatedly, so quickly that it doesn't even, like, he doesn't even have a chance to get up from the chair. Like, he was immediately dead the third beat. And that just doesn't make sense, Tyler. It doesn't make sense. And that's the problem. Tyler doesn't have sense. And he's producing his works as if he has sense, right? As if he knows it all. And I mean, look, he's obviously doing something right to be as successful as he is. So I'm not knocking him for it. What I am knocking is the respect that he's giving to his audience, to his art. It's a beautiful thing to be able to create something to the point where people are looking forward to seeing your work, right? And to do so with so much carelessness is just so demeaning to the art. Like, what is going on, Tyler? Why can't this be better, you know? So, and here's the thing with me, with this movie, I already knew what was going to happen because it's not like the storyline was poor. I think the plot was pretty strong, to be honest with you. Like, I just think it could have been developed much better. I think there were so many other factors that killed this movie. You know, it comes to the acting, it comes to just the preparation, it comes to the background, the lighting, the soundtrack. Like, there was nothing supporting it, right? It was a shit ass movie. But the storyline, the plot at its core, it's a good story to tell. It just was poorly executed. So I knew what was gonna happen just because I am so detailed. Excuse me. When I watch something, I look at things that maybe the average eye don't look at. Like, I'm able to look at the fact that Felicia Rashad, who plays Grace's best friend, I already saw something in her, like, oh, she seems a little too pushy. You know, she was pushing Grace to, you know, hurry up and get out there and go ahead and meet him. Or how was it? How was the date with him? Like, she was too pushy about Grace moving forward and moving on. And it's to the point where, you know, has girlfriends, yes, you'll encourage your girlfriend to move forward in life and start dating and getting back out there. But her level of excitement was to the point where, bitch, what? Relax. I'm not ready to go on this date. Like, she was just for it, and everything that she wanted, she was like pushing for. Like, she wanted Grace to date him more, to go ahead and go out with him. Oh, you're not rushing into things. This is great. You didn't rush into this marriage after 3 months. You're doing great. Like, and that's not realistic, right? You have girlfriends in real life who would be like, bitch, I know you happy and all, but this is still too early. You know, you don't even know this nigga. Fuck. You never even had sex with him? Oh, no. You can't. You absolutely cannot. You know? So I just see it as that's not realistic. And I was looking at that throughout the movie, and I just thought to myself, I'm going to keep my eye on her. Like, she's suspicious. Now, I didn't know specifically every little corner and turn and end point of this movie, but I already knew from the beginning Phylicia Rashad's character was suspicious, and so I wasn't too surprised to find out towards the end, spoiler alert, in case you haven't realized, but I didn't realize until the end that, of course, Phylicia Rashad is the mother of Grace's hot, young thing husband. So it just made sense to the fact that why she was so pushy, why she was so adamant in Grace moving forward, and she wasn't the voice of reason. It just didn't make sense how you could have a friend of 6 years, quote unquote, and they're not telling you, girl, you acting crazy right now. You gonna marry this man and you don't even know him? Well, what does he do for a living? Have you met his mom? Does he have any kids? Like, there was nothing pushing in that moment. She was just so encouraging for Grace to move forward with him, you know? So that was already telling enough. So I knew that she had something to do with it and that she was suspicious. So all in all, I just come here to say that I want Tyler Perry to do better. I do. I think he has potential to do better because I've seen good works from him. You know, it's not foreign for him to produce something of quality, but as of late, it hasn't been of quality, and it's ruining his reputation as far as good quality art. And it's just sad to me. You know, I just think about how much I loved his earlier works. And to see where they are now is just like, whoa, what happened? Like, did you just get lazy after you got all this money and you just don't give a fuck? And maybe so. But I just hope he truly kind of sits back and realizes, you know, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say, I have a team, you know? I don't feel like we should praise people more just because they're doing it all by themselves, especially when the quality is poor and trash. That doesn't make any sense to me. Go seek help. Like, seriously. Please seek help. Another T. Let's talk about another T-ass nigga. Terry Crews. I'm really disappointed, honestly. And I also think about Terry Crews and how I was introduced to him. Yes, he was in White Chicks, but I really got to know Terry Crews when he played Chris Rock's father in Everybody Hates Chris. I love that show. I loved his character. It was just so hilarious. He was amazing. He's amazing in that show. So let's just keep it at that. But Terry, I'm really questioning his level of integrity, his level of personal responsibility and collective responsibility, especially within the Black community, especially for Black women. It's just so sad that so let me give y'all a backstory. So he was on Good Morning America, was a Today Show, one of those morning shows. And he was asked, how is the work environment at America's Got Talent? And as you may know, Terry Crews is the host of America's Got Talent now. And so Terry Crews, he speaks on it. He says how he can't speak about sexism because he's not a woman, but he can speak about racism, and he hasn't experienced anything of that sort. He sees diversity in the workplace, and he pointed out all these different races and ethnic backgrounds that are represented at America's Got Talent. And he goes on to say that he doesn't see any validity in what Gabrielle Union is proclaiming as having a toxic racist work environment. And he just completely denounced any inkling of that. And he said a very outlandish and far-reaching statement. He said, out of my 20 years in this entertainment business, he has never experienced he said he has experienced diversity so much so on this set of America's Got Talent. And that statement is just so belittling to Gabrielle Union's experience and her truth. Now, here's the thing. Your truth, like, maybe this is true for him. Maybe he truly did not experience any racism or anything suspicious of that sort. But I also feel like Terry Crews, he comes off as a man who he's not going to ride for you and that's it, right? He's not going to ride for you out of his convenience or out of his inconvenience, right? It'll be inconvenient for Terry Crews to say, you know what, I understand what Gabrielle Union is speaking of. I have witnessed some questionable and uncomfortable moments at America's Got Talent, but I hope with my presence and with my character, I could push forward a reality that is inclusive to all. Bitch, that was a whole speech I just conjured up. That was amazing. Shout out to me. But he could have said something like that, right? He could have recognized Gabrielle Union. He could have understood or even sat there with an openness to accepting what she was saying, but instead he just diminished her. He made it so that he said Gabrielle Union, he never heard of a statement directly from her. Instead, he heard all these other rumblings and he never heard a statement from her. And that's not true. There was a couple of things that Gabrielle Union said herself, and the firing of Gabrielle Union is in result of Gabrielle Union speaking up against the sexism, against the racism that she experienced on set. And I don't think Terry Crews understands that. And I feel like this pushes the narrative of Black men not supporting Black women. Especially so when I think about, among the complaints about Gabrielle Union at America's Got Talent, they were saying how her hairstyles were too Black, right? Too Black girl, too much of a stereotypical Black girl hairstyle. And they were denouncing her hairstyles. And I feel like Black men, when it comes to things about like of women's appearance, of Black women's appearance, there seems to not be an understanding from Black men, especially so when it comes to our hair. Black men, there are many Black men who see their Black women as women who should have European-like features. And if our hair is too coarse, if our hair is too radical, quote unquote, looking, if our hair is too big, too curly and tightly coiled, then we're deemed as unattractive. We're deemed as this woman who may be stereotyped as an angry Black woman, as someone who, has an attitude, rather than just us being us. Like, we can't just be. We have to be this person, this moniker of a person, and yet we don't have the agency to just be. And so it still comes from, it doesn't just come from our white counterparts, it comes from our own black males, you know? So it was just really disheartening to hear Terry Crews sort of denounce and discredit and dismiss Gabrielle Union's clear experience of racism, of sexism at the workplace of America's Got Talent. So I also think about the fact that Gabrielle Union, she stood up for Terry Crews when he came out public and said how he was sexually assaulted. And then you have other people kind of going against him like, nigga, how your big ass get sexually assaulted? Like, you should have been whooped that nigga's ass. You should have been, and mind you, sexually assaulted for a man, and from his description, this white man who was one of the managers at an agency, he tapped his butt. And that is sexual assault. Yeah, I get that. But I also recognize the fact that sexual assault is not to the level of sexual assault that a woman may deal with, especially when it's specific to penetration, right? So, like, Terry Crews, you really could have beat that nigga's ass. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, let's not. And it's not to dismiss him, but it's to also recognize you as this big ass nigga who he always kind of, he always pops his chest breast or whatever. He always does that. And you mean to tell me you're victimized by someone's, like, patty tapping your fucking ass? Nigga, if you don't get buck wild on him, like, I'm not saying I don't believe it. I just think he was going on such a world tour about this sexual assault. Like, he was trying to ride the Me Too movement when, nigga, you could have defended yourself. Like, this didn't even need it to be a conversation. You could have easily been like, nigga, don't ever fucking touch me like that again. Like, don't ever do that again. It's to the point where, you know how at some homes, growing up, some homes, your parents would be like, or your family in general will be like, don't come to this house if you get your ass whooped. You better come to this house after whooping someone else's ass. Like, don't come here crying because so-and-so hit you. Did you hit him back? Did you fuck him up? Did you fuck her up? And that's how I feel about Terry Crews. Like, nigga, don't come on The View talking about you got patty tapped on your ass. Nigga, did you fuck him up? Go fuck him up. Like, this not Terry Crews. Tyler Perry. Like, what's going on with these T-ass niggas? There's no excuse. So my point is, even in the outlandishness of him, like, really going on fucking tour talking about this Me Too movement of his experience, Gabrielle Union still rolled for him. She made public statements in support of him. And for Terry Crews to kind of slap her in the face with his dismissive ass remarks, it just really shows that niggas don't give a fuck. That's it. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about black women. They don't give a fuck about our experience. They don't give a fuck about our valid ass feelings. Instead, they make it so that, well, maybe you shouldn't have that hairstyle, right? Maybe you shouldn't wear your hair in braids all week. Maybe you should straighten your hair. When it's like, no, I should be able to just be, and that is enough, right? I should be able to have this job without having to present a certain appearance to look presentable to you. What does that even mean? And I think about corporate America. Like, I haven't worked in corporate America in a while. Like, the only corporate job I had was when I was a junior in high school, and I was at an internship at a law firm in Boston. And I wasn't natural then, so I did have my creamy crack. My hair was slick, slicked down. And I never really had that conversation about how to wear your hair because I was already wearing my hair in a European like style, right? My hair was already straight. I was already succumbed to that mindset of, oh my gosh, I gotta get my hair done. Oh my gosh, my edges are showing. Oh my gosh, I gotta look presentable. Oh my gosh, when's my next hairstyle? Where's my next appointment? I gotta make sure my edges are smooth and straight. When I was already adopting, and I've already adopted at that point, this mindset that my natural hair had to be tamed, right? My hair had to be kind of pet down. I had to put it down to look presentable. And that's not okay. That's not okay. And I can only imagine, I've been working my adult life in a liberal environment. I've been working at a school, working in schools in my adult life since I graduated undergrad. And I think at schools, it's a little, especially in the schools that I worked at, it's been urban style schools. So there is more of a leeway and an openness to to wear your hair however you want, whether it's in locks, whether it's in a fro, whether it's two-strand twist. You could just have your natural hair in its natural form. But, just because the environment may be more open than a corporate environment, you still have some people who will look at you funny, right? You still may have some white people who may look at your choice of hairstyle as interesting and strange. And how did you get it to be like that? And it was just straight the other day, and now it's in braids. Are this all your hair? How is it all your hair is all the way to the back, to your back? Like, that's truly an experience that happens to Black women. And you have Black men like Terry Crews who denounces that, who doesn't recognize that as an experience, who marries a light, bright woman who doesn't wear her hair in its natural state, or who does just naturally have European-like hair. So he doesn't see that in his wife, so he can't even, if he wanted to, he can't really be schooled by her because she doesn't present, or she doesn't represent a Black woman of a different texture, and I don't know if his mom is still alive. I don't know if he has any sisters. I don't know anything like that, but I just need him to get it together. I need him to apologize, or not even apologize. I just need him to be schooled, because I think at this point, what's an apology? What is a I'm sorry? I don't know what that means anymore. Show me some difference in your actions, right? Show me, instead of saying I'm sorry, show me what, I realized what I said was dismissive and I was cowardly and not being honest about how the experiences of Gabrielle Union are valid. I've seen some, just say stuff like that. Don't say I'm sorry, rather than own up to the fact that what Gabrielle Union saying is true. I need these T niggas to Tyler Perry, Terry Crews. I need y'all to get Black women on your team. You have Tyler Perry not allowing a Black woman to be, it's not like he said, I don't want Black women on my staff. He's just simply not allowing anyone on his staff. So obviously amongst that anyone is Black women. And to have all of these stories and movies and shows about Black women and Black women's plight in America and Black women's plight in relationships, Black women's plight with Black men, where are your Black female writers who can give you that perspective, Tyler? You can't give me that perspective. Yes, you have a Black mom. Yes, you may have a Black sister. Yes, you may have Black female cousins, but you're not a Black woman. You can't truly understand what I go through as a Black woman. You can't truly sympathize and empathize with the Black woman's experience. That's why he had all the female cast members, except Felicia Rashad and except for Brisha Webb, period, their hair was done. Their hair was well done. And I think they didn't have a wig or weave-in, or I don't know. But you have Grace's character, her hair just looking hot. Like, bitch, are you on a set? Like, are you on a movie set and you're looking like this? I just don't understand how there isn't a budget given for hair. Black hair, black women's hair. We have to respect it for what it is and the intricacies. Yo, I'm done. But you gotta respect it for what it is. Like, we have to give black women a voice. We have to give our hair respect. We have to set budgets aside. I've heard too many stories of black female comics and black actors and actresses complaining about the hair and makeup people not knowing what to do with their hair, or frying and damaging their hair because they think they could apply the same amount of heat and pressure on their hair as they do their white female counterparts, you know. And there is no regard to black women, to our hair. Like, we just gotta do better, Terry Crews and Tyler Perry. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and end here. I appreciate y'all for listening. Continue to support by liking, rating, 5 stars, and subscribing to this podcast on all the platforms that it's located. And I just, I want to hear y'all thoughts. What do you think about Tyler Perry? What do you think about these dyke bitches who won't leave me alone? What do you think about, people using grief as an excuse to reach out to someone who they know is toxic, or using it as an excuse for someone to get back into your life who have been toxic to you? Let that nigga go still. Let that nigga go still. All right. Every episode I gotta sing something. All right, y'all. I'm out. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of God Built This Podcast with your host, Maxine. Be sure to leave a review, give me 5 stars, and of course, subscribe. Also, follow God Built This Podcast on Instagram at God Built This Pod. God bless.